And we're back. Turn that over to live chat. Sorry I had to cut out. I have a dog that's not so smart, that feels that it's necessary to dig up my in-laws' yard because their dirt is softer than the dirt we have at home. Need a backhoe to fix his landscaping endeavors. So, to continue what I was saying, classical pipes, in case you didn't watch the first one. Did a video on meerschaum. A lot of good info. A lot of good info on the history of meerschaum. He had a lot of good info on the care of meerschaum and the functionality of meerschaum. He made a few points that I disagree with, though. And anybody who's been in the meerschaum game for any amount of time knows that anybody who smokes meerschaum, is interested in coloring meerschaum, has studied it at all, are going to argue with each other until they're blue in the face about these different things, right? Much like the endless argument about whether what the difference between a Balkan and an English is. People are going to argue until they're blue in the face, until the end of time, about what the difference is. Me personally, I can't taste one. I like both. I like some of each. I dislike some of each. So there's that. So, first point that I disagree with. Is, and the biggest point, really, is his pipe cake argument. Now, a meerschaum is not supposed to have a lot of cake in it. He argues that you don't want to have any at all in your pipe because the temperature differentials and expansion rates between the cake and the pipe can create excess pressure and cause it to crack. Theoretically, this is true. I have never seen it. Never heard of it. Never met anybody who's seen it. Never actually heard of it happening. So, if you've been smoking a pipe at all, you know good and well pipe cake is inevitable. With this pipe, I was so anal about it at the beginning because everybody was fear-mongering for so long on so many different YouTube pages that you'll crack your pipe if you have any pipe cake in there, that literally after every smoke, I would take a Q-tip and I would clean the inside of the pipe. And I would clean it until the Q-tips stopped coming out brown or black. Did this for years. Absolute years. When I stopped doing this, stock and Q-tip had to take a dive. It had to. There's no way it didn't. sorry, I'm still a little sick, but because I went from using about, I don't know, 4 or 5 Q-tips every smoke to using none. Stopped doing it. Stopped caring. Decided I was going to enjoy the smoke more than I was going to worry about pipe cake and coloring and all that jazz. So, I kept the pipe tidy. I still ream it out a little bit after every smoke. Alright? Not like a heavy reaming, but a little bit. I ream it out. But pipe cake is still going to form. And I have found about once every 2 or 3 months, depending on how much I smoke out of the pipe, I will wind up having to take a really nice sharp knife that coincidentally just follows the contour of the bowl. And I scrape the cake out that way. Now, am I actually hitting meerschaum and, you know, carving a little bit of the bowl out? Yeah, honestly, I have no idea. I really don't. I even went as far as to, a couple of times last year, I guess, take sandpaper and try and get down to straight meerschaum inside the pipe. And when it goes black, you can't tell the difference between it and a pipe cake. It all comes off brown. So, I don't know. However, you can feel the difference in the cut whenever you use a nice sharp knife. Because you use a little bit of force, just a little bit of force. And when that scrape goes actually smooth, like you can feel like the carbon cake starting to come off when you go through it. Whenever that goes smooth and you can't feel that rough disconnection of the carbon cake anymore, assume you're at meerschaum. And that's how I do it. But pipe cake is unavoidable. So don't let the pipe cake argument with meerschaum ruin your meerschaum experience. That would be a terrible idea. And I even do the same thing with my little one. Now, my little one, I'm sure you've seen it, it's tiny. The walls are thin. That thing gets blazing hot no matter how slow I smoke it. That's just all there is to it with that one. And the pipe cake builds up in it. Actually, a little bit thicker than I'd like it to because it builds up so quick on such a small bowl. But I just scrape it out and continue on. And I don't have any problems with it. Now, the next one is not so much a point that he makes, but more of an insinuation. He said that if you don't keep the inside of your bowl clean, that it will not smoke as good, which is kind of hit or miss. I kind of feel like it smokes the same the whole time around. But he said that it'll start getting moisture build up and start getting skanky on the inside. He didn't use those words exactly, but I disagree. Okay? Not that it'll get skanky, because that is in fact a guarantee. It's going to get skanky. And the reason is the way that this is designed. It's got the threaded in mortise that goes in, and it's got the tenon that sticks down into it. That whole assembly actually leaves a gap about that wide in between the big drilled hole and the actual where they cut it off to go into the chamber. And there will be a buildup in there, period. I don't know of any carver of any pipe where they've gotten those tolerances exactly. I don't know of them. I haven't seen them. This is from Meerschaum Market. This is Cervi. Pretty high-end stuff, but there's a gap there. And it builds up goo. And it can get skanky. So about every 10, 15 bowls, you're going to want to take the tenons out, and you're going to want to clean all that crap out. Because you will taste a difference on that. And those were the big ones. Now, he talks about never re-waxing his pipe. And, I mean, some people do, some people don't. I advise, if you're going to re-wax, always use clear beeswax. You buy it for like $5. I think I got my block at Michael's. It was like $5 or $10 for a 1-pound block. Now, in order to do this entire pipe, I use a little tiny pinch of it. So, I basically use none of it for like friggin' ever. I could probably smoke this pipe and re-wax it annually for the rest of my life and never hit the end of that block. So, I wouldn't worry too much about like not having enough wax. One little block of clear beeswax will get you covered on that one. Now, some of the points he did make that I wholeheartedly agree with. Do not use a pipe cleaner on your meerschaum pipe when it is hot, because the meerschaum is in fact softer, and it can gouge a little divot in the bottom of your bowl. I mean, it's a wire pipe cleaner, and it's a soft stone. It gets kind of chalky. It'll start coming right out of there. Now, where you might not notice something right off the bat, it'll come with time. So don't run a pipe cleaner through it when it's hot. And you definitely want to keep the bowl clean. But other than that, enjoy them. He said they're great for English blends, not so good for Virginias or Virginia Periques, but I haven't had any problems. I'm smoking a Vapor Navy Flake right now, and it is delightful. As a matter of fact, I almost prefer to smoke some of these heavy Virginia blends out of my meerschaum pipes because they heat up my briars too hot. So there's always that. But I didn't even think about it. We are kind of in March meerschaum madness. So it is appropriate that the end of my vacation would include a meerschaum pipe. Even though I've only smoked this one, I haven't been smoking this one all that much. Mostly because, well, it takes a long time to smoke this particular pipe. And oftentimes a long time I do not have. Oh, another thing back to the pipe cake thing though. The guy I follow on Instagram got a beautiful meerschaum pipe. Maylot Cruz, I think is how you pronounce it. Great guy. I got to talking with him. I did a couple trades with him. He's got a meerschaum pipe that's absolutely gorgeous. I'm relatively sure it's a pretty thin-walled pipe for as dark as it is. Dragon Claw, and it is straight, like, it's got that nice, like, deep nut brown color all the way down, all the way up to about here on the bowl, before it fades into that light brown, which is about that. Yeah, it's darker than that all the way up at the top. So, but he never scrapes. He rarely, I say never, but he rarely ever scrapes the cake out of his meerschaum pipe. He actually prefers heavy cake on his pipe. Hey, you better lay down. Lay down. Gibbs. It's a dog that likes to crater the yard, Mr. Gibbs. Well, I figured the best way to keep him out of trouble is to keep him from roaming aimlessly in the yard to his own devices. So, end of the vacation. Don't get to take these as often as I'd like to. Of course, I'm sure most people would like to live on vacation. I don't think I'd mind too much, but I think it'd get old after a while. I transfer back and forth in between units. If I get one of those 30-day runs, by the time I'm at the end of it, I'm looking forward to being done. Go back to work, do something productive with my life. Instead of just laying around like a lump on a log. So we got one person in here. Go ahead and text up. Let's see who you is. I'm interested. I want to see. Oh, hey. You finally caught me this time. You caught me on round 2. The first round, I had to go and fill in a hole in the yard. It was a little bit on the ridiculous side. Yeah, it's out here for 10 minutes, dogs digging holes in the yard. So, I'm not entirely sure I really want to do a garden this year, just because I got so much going on with two brats. One of them's 2, one of them's 3 months, or I'm sorry, 4 months at this point. So this summer's going to be relatively interesting to begin with. But my neighbors want to go co-op on one with it, which means I'm going to do a garden, and they're not going to have anything to do with it. So, because that's what we were supposed to do last year. But I reckon if I can, might do it a little bit different. I'm gonna go ahead and put in an order for baggy seeds, and then I'm just gonna scatter them all over the garden while we still got rainy season and see what comes up. And I mean the outside section of the garden, because animals won't eat it, but I'm gonna dust against those horned worms. And I think I'm gonna do straight burleys this time, just because you can air cure burleys. I got 1 hand of Virginia off of the last batch, and most of it dried. It started to mold, so I basically put a dehumidifier underneath it, and it all wound up dry and green. Which I'm surprised it molded. Because I was spraying it down with apple cider vinegar. So you get what you get, I suppose. It's very unfortunate though. I went hell, I went the entire winter. I don't think I smoked any English. Nope, I take that back. I smoked some Sutliff English. I don't remember what blend exactly it was, but it turned me off of Sutliff's tinned blends altogether. I mean, they've got some bulk blends that I really like. Like their Burley Delight is quite tasty, but uh, that English that I got out of the tin, it was so dry. Like right out of the tin, it was so dry. I couldn't stand to smoke it. I mean, I loaded a bowl up in this thing, and I couldn't even handle the pipe. It was so damn hot. I mean, the bowl's a little bit warmer than I'd like right now, but that's because I'm kind of speed smoking a flake, which is never a good idea. But when I get back home, I'm actually working something up specifically for you. So you should have a surprise in a week or two. I've been sneaky. How about you? What's new and good in your life? Yeah. Well, I'm just glad things are kind of starting to take an upturn. It was due. It was past due. Anyways, I think I'm probably gonna hop off of here now. I've had my meerschaum rant, and I'll be back on again. I'm gonna try and make it a more frequent thing to hang out on the old YouTube channel and post more content. I know I've been pretty sporadic lately, but hell, when the shit hits the fan, you duck and cover, right? So, anyways, until next time, catch y'all later.